Welcome. In front of me I have a Realme GT, and today I'll go over unboxing along with a quick overview of this phone. So let's pop it open. We do have some nice information right here, kind of in a really flashy way being displayed. So Qualcomm Snapdragon 888, 65 watts supercharger, 120 Hz refresh rate with a Super AMOLED display, and Sony 64 megapixel triple camera. So anyway, let's just pop it open. Okay, so hey, welcome to Realme family. So obviously we get some paperwork in here, and I assume also the casing for the phone because it's Realme. And look at that, I am correct. So just pop it out. I don't really care for paperwork, so I'm just gonna eat that to the side. Put the case right to the side here, and it looks like that's actually all we get in here. Yep, that's basically all we get, well, apart from maybe some eject tool right here. But anyway, let's set that to the side. Then we get a charger. It's a Type C to Type A, as you can see, both ends right here. So nothing really special. It's a fairly thick cable. Then we actually get something that I wasn't expecting, which is earbuds. So let's see. Oh, never mind, I can see that jack. So you can see it has a normal jack, which makes me think that the phone actually has a headphone jack. Yes, it actually does. So let's just open this up. So I'll turn it on and get rid of all the stuff from the set. Actually, before I do, let's whip out this beast of a charger. Now this is a 65 watt charger. So put that in maybe numbers. This charger apparently, they advertise that will charge your phone to 100% in 35 minutes, which to be honest is kind of insane. So anyway, I'm gonna quickly go through the setup right here. Let's just skip through most of it, and while I'm going through it, I'm gonna also quickly tell you the specifications of this device, or at least the screen itself. So what you're looking at right here is a 6.43 inch display with a 1080p resolution, so more precisely 1080 by 2400. It's a Super AMOLED display with 120 Hz refresh rate. It's a 85.9% screen to body ratio. To be completely fair, it does seem better than the 85%. Honestly, seems more like 90 almost. So it looks way better in person rather than on paper. It also has a 409 pixels per inch. Additionally, it has a glass front, obviously, and now it doesn't really say what kind of rating it has, so I don't know if it's a Gorilla Glass or not. But it also has a glass back if you went with this specific one, because there's also another alternative to this one, which is the Eco Leather. So you do have basically a leather back, and the frame of the device is unfortunately plastic. That is kind of how they do cut on costs right here. So anyway, that being said, if we flip the phone to the back, you can see that there's the Sony sensor right here. If you can see it, it's barely visible because of the actual colors of it. So it has a triple camera setup on paper, and in reality it has, depending on what kind of quality you're looking for, either 1 or 2 sticker cameras. So to be fair, the main Sony sensor, the 64, will most likely do just a decent enough job, probably what you would be expecting. And then we have the 8 megapixel ultra wide and 2 megapixel macro. Now the 2 megapixel macro, don't even bother using it. I'm pretty sure it will get outperformed by 64 megapixels. And when it comes down to ultra wide, if you're not looking for super sharp photos, I guess you can take an ultra wide with 8 megapixels. But if you're really looking for that just detail in the photo, you're probably gonna stay away from it. And now actually let's open up the camera. Let's agree while using app and allow. And I'll just get my fake plant right here and see what it can capture. So this will be, I assume, 64, or at least it's going to be using the 64 sensor and then probably downscaling it, as majority of phones do, but it doesn't really show anything. We do have a dedicated 64 megapixel mode right here, as you can see. There we go. Now, before I progress any further, let's just look at the two photos that it did capture. So, let me actually recapture the 64 because it came out terrible. And this is the normal mode, the photo mode, which, like I said, uses the 64 megapixel sensor, but I believe it downscales it just so it takes less space. It also uses the more information that it did to improve the quality of the photo. But you can obviously see that it does look fairly nice and detailed. It has a bit of a darker tone to it. It's a bit saturated, but also it's a bit darker than the actual thing looks right here, unless I was creating shadow, but I don't think I was. So your photos will come out darker than they are actually in reality. Now anyway, let's go back to the 64 and try to capture one that is actually sharp. There we go. Again, I kind of made it, I guess my hand isn't stable enough to do this. So you can see it allows you to zoom way closer in, but like I said, I don't think I was holding the phone stable enough, so maybe I'm moving it too quickly, but it's not necessarily as sharp as you would expect. It's actually less sharp than this one. But like I said, I'm pretty sure this is my fault, not the phone. Now anyway, let's go to more and see what we get in here. So we got slow-mo, ultra macro. Okay, let's go to the macro just so we can get this out of the way. So let me try to not cast shadow. I think this is as close as I can get to it. So it does capture a okay macro. Obviously it's lacking in a lot of detail. And just to put that in perspective, I'm gonna grab my phone right here. Let me just quickly launch my camera. And I'm gonna go to my super macro right here on a phone that is several years old now. And let's see what I can capture with mine. There we go. So this is the super actual macro, and boy, we're like on a whole new level of macro shots right here. So as you can see, this is a single pebble, which is visible on this photo right here. Let me just quickly unlock it. It's this one right here. And as you can see, it's lacking a lot of, number one, quality, and number two, resolution. And this is as far as I can zoom into it, and at this distance it still looks trash. Well, this looks just like, you can see the difference right here. So obviously, like I said, Realme comes with a sticker camera. A lot of manufacturers do that nowadays, so personally I don't like it one bit, but it is what it is. A lot of them do this. It's a way to bump up the camera count just so the phone looks on paper better than it actually is in terms of the camera. But let's be honest, those are just sticker cameras and you probably never will use them. And now just to actually go back, I want to go back to the 64 and try to capture a photo like that, but let's see if this will work. To be fair, they're basically equal in terms of quality at this distance. I believe the 64 might have a bit of an advantage. It, number one, captures also way more of a photo and allows you to zoom way closer than the macro did. Now if you can get your hand super stable, have probably maybe a better lighting to it, it might look even better than this did. So obviously, like I said, 64 megapixel sensor outperforms the 2 megapixel macro, which was to be expected. I'm not gonna really go into the ultra wide because this set isn't necessarily anywhere good for this kind of shot. So anyway, let's finish it up with the actual like pure specifications of the device. So it comes obviously with a Snapdragon 888, which I think I did mention already. It has a couple different versions in terms of storage. Now, the one that I have right here, I actually have no idea which one that is. So this is the lower spec model. So this is 128 gigabyte storage with a 8 gigabyte RAM option, but you can actually bump it up higher. If you go for the 256 gig storage, you'll get 12 gigs of RAM, so you'll get more RAM than you probably ever need. So basically as much RAM as computers have. Now additionally, if you need more storage than 128, you are basically forced into the higher model because it does not come with an expandable storage. At least I don't think so. Let me just make sure, just so I am not... Yep, you only have space for 2 different SIM cards. So, like I said, if you need more storage, you need to opt out for the better option of it. And the upside of this is the storage that does come here is a UFS 3.1, which does provide you with blazing fast read and write speeds. So this will probably be one of the better sides of the phone. Now moving on, it has a built-in battery of 4,500 milliamps, and like I mentioned before, 65 watt charger. And lastly, the price of it is at a relatively amazing $450, which basically blows out of the water almost any kind of device for this price range. Even Xiaomi, which does provide relatively nicely priced devices, well, can't really compete with this one, to be honest. But to be fair, I assume there is a lot of cost cutting right here with, for instance, like the cameras, the overall build. It is in a plastic frame, so it won't be as rigid as, for instance, an aluminum frame. And I'm gonna say the other downside here is probably the battery. It's not necessarily the biggest one. But the phone itself isn't also as big as you probably are used to. Like this is a 6.4 inch. So to be fair, these days 6.4 is I guess small. They almost are, majority of the phones are approaching the 7-inch mark. So personally, this is a sweet spot for me in terms of the size. I wouldn't want anything bigger. So this is actually really nice. So yeah, honestly, I can only say good things about this device. It is running basically the best Snapdragon right now, so it will have all the power that you need. The only downside here that I would say is just a bit of a less rigid device in terms of like the build quality. It's made out of plastic as a frame, and additionally the cameras aren't necessarily the greatest. But if you don't care about both of those, then you will get for the money one of the best devices you can, with additionally probably one of the better chargers you can on the market. And also, I cannot stress this enough, it comes included with the device, which as you probably are aware, some other manufacturers like Samsung, for instance, won't include a charger in their device that costs $1,200. So yeah. Now, before I finish this off, I'm just gonna show you also how the phone looks like in the case. I can actually pop it on. There we go. So there's the casing for it. It provides a little bit of a protection for the camera bump. Obviously, it does have these almost like bumpers on the side, so they do protect the screen. If you drop the phone like that, it will not scratch the display. The display won't even hit the table. So obviously, really nice that they included a case for it as well. So anyway, to sum it all up, it's an outstanding device, especially for the price that they sell it at. It's just amazing, and that's basically all I have to say to it. So if you found this very helpful, don't forget to hit like, subscribe, and thanks for watching.